All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Tech Talk episode 106. Where did I get my news from? Recorded on October 11th, 2017. Well, this is kind of an extension of what happened on October 1st in the previous episode here, too. I'm almost going to have my friend Dale Perryman as a guest to discuss all this. So let's go ahead and bring him on right now. Let me see if I remember how to do this. Hi, Dale. How you doing?
Good, Dan. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good here. So anyway, as we talked about before the show, we're going to talk about how we get our news online on here. So, there's been obvious issues with mainstream media, the accuracy and the timeliness of mainstream media. So I seen it. In fact, you too, with what you're doing with your stock market stuff, you seem to be getting information a lot quicker and faster than most people. So I figure you might be a good person to bring in on this.
Okay.
So anyway, before we get going, let me get some of this other stuff out of the way here. The last episode was episode number 105. How Mandalay Bay security missed all the guns going up to that room. So if you're wanting to know more about security for your business, believe it or not, it's actually small business related, all this stuff here. So if you want to know more about security for your small business and all this stuff, you want to review the episode. Also, before we get to today's topic, let's get into some announcements here real quick. As usual, thank you folks out there for listening and watching this. I do this for you guys, so I very much appreciate all that, all the input and all that stuff. So if you're listening on iTunes or Android podcast directory, if you're watching on YouTube, or if you found us on Facebook, make sure you rate my show, submit a review, subscribe to my channel, all that good stuff. Leave a comment if you can, please. And question and kudos, and like my page, and so you get notified when I do the next broadcast. Now, if you need to find me on YouTube channel, the podcast show, the Facebook page, all that stuff, quick way to do is go to primeconcepts.net. That's primeconcepts.net. You find links to the podcast show, the YouTube channel, and Facebook page, plus lots of free goodies stuff on there, especially a lot of free tutorials on business-related internet topics. And my favorite one, free and almost free ways to advertise your business online. By the way, Dale, that tutorial is all of a sudden getting popular again. So I'm gonna have to. I need to go through it and update it here too. That's still good information.
Yeah, very good information.
Yeah, so I think you've been through that tutorial a couple times. So
well, that's the benefit of doing evergreen information. And for those of you who don't know the definition of evergreen, it never gets old. It's kind of timeless. So the good thing about doing evergreen is sometimes it'll come back in popularity, because I don't see a day where people say, hey, free or almost free ways to get an education on the internet. That's no longer applicable. So I just think it's going to be a timeless topic.
That's why I brought you on early. Thank you for the plug. So, also, real quick, legal disclaimer. Products mentioned in this and other episode of Tech Talk with Dan Harley could be paid as an affiliate commission, promotion commission, or the liking by the product or service provider. In other words, I just might try to sell you something on this podcast show. And I can't believe, a few years ago, you'd just be able to sell stuff online without having to do this. Now you got to do it. You got to say, I'm going to sell you something now. Be prepared. Here I come. I'm going to sell you it. Be close.
Good. Well, I know for a fact that Dan won't try to sell you something that he doesn't believe in. So how's that for another plug?
Thank you very much. And that's why Carbonite has actually sponsored the show. And most of my podcast shows, I think from about the 50th show on. So, have you ever tried Carbonite, by the way?
I have not. I've read a lot about it. I've used it. I have not used Carbonite.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about Carbonite here. Reason why I've endorsed it and they're sponsoring me is because there's lots of these cloud-based backup systems out there, really good ones too. Okay, but what separates Carbonite out is it's very easy to use. I remember one of my a friend of mine who works in a legal office. She was freaking out because they have all these really important documents on one computer. And they were having these power outages over there because of the storm. I told her, go grab Carbonite, and at first I thought, download Carbonite and call me up when you get it done. and she didn't call me back. And finally, I called her back about 30 minutes later. She says, "Yeah, I installed it and ran it." Okay, so it was that easy,
So much for calling me back.
Yeah, so you're calling me back. There goes my bill, my invoice for that. So, but it's actually that easy. That's why I'm really impressed with it. I've had many of my clients, my friends, all install this Carbonite. It's been really, really good. Especially, here's something that most people don't realize, that this happened to me a bunch of times too, where a computer a hard drive just go out, and it always goes out when you least expect it. Right. And it's always that one hard drive where you got your accounting files on, your old the one copy of all your pictures of all your family and friends from 20, 30 years ago, and your mom and dad, and back when they were getting married, all those old pictures. And all those old files you were looking for, you keep that one drive, and you figure it'd be there forever, and the thing goes out. Okay, it never fails. So cool thing about that's the reason why even though the equipment's getting better, you always have that situation happen, or something happens. Power outages, also getting virus malware attacks. Really bad one happened. Was it about 3-4 months ago? Where if you got infected, it wiped out your hard drive. The first time in a long time that happened. Now, granted, it was only just a handful of people got hit with this thing here. But if it was you, I mean, it would just literally just wiped out the entire hard drive. Or something happens. So
there goes your life.
Yeah, so that's why you need this backup stuff. And by the way, on the screen, I got the trial version of Carbonite. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. So anyway, like I say, it didn't sound like Carbonite. Basically, you'll back up everything. You install it real easy, like a couple steps, you're done. No hassles, no worries. Very affordable. It's less than 20 cents a day to back up and protect your computer. And the partnership we got with Carbonite, we get to try out Carbonite for free for 15 days. And the link, it's at primeconstant.net/link/Carbonite, which is on the screen. Or if you can't find it right away, don't remember it, just go to primeconstant.net. We got links to Carbonite from there. So also, having problems with your business, or if you think you're spending too much on money on a website or internet advertising and not getting anywhere, or if you just don't know, you want to get your business online somehow, some way, you just don't know how to do it, give us a call. Our initial consultation is always free, and I'm proud that and Dale would test it too. I've steered a lot of folks in the right direction for going from zero to being profitable, just by a few questions and Q&As and stuff like that, get in the right direction. So I'm really proud of being able to do that. It's free for an initial consultation. If you want to schedule an appointment, call 760-247-4814 or find more information at primeconstant.net.
Dan is the king of search engine optimization.
I am Mr. SEO. You're right about that. So, and I don't really promote that as much as I probably should, but appreciate that. So, anyway, on to the topic. Where did I get my news from? And a little story to start this stuff off here is we talked about it a little bit earlier here. I got the Las Vegas shootings. I got lots of friends that live in Las Vegas. I mean, Las Vegas is like pretty much my second home. I live maybe about 150 miles away from it. Where I'm at in Las Vegas, there's basically my town, Apple Valley, Barstow, and then Las Vegas. There's nothing between us and there. So I got a lot of my friends that moved there. Our family's corporation, we moved there, and it moved in 1991, 92, I forgot. So I've had a lot of roots in Las Vegas. Also in Rotary. My district where my club is in is actually Clark County is part of all that as well. So I got lots and lots of friends for the Rotary, through personal friends, non-Rotary friends, and so on and so forth. So I was concerned that, as I mentioned last episode, that during the shootings I might have had lost a friend. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So on with that, I was getting lots of information really, really quick. First thing I noticed here, mainstream media just was not accurate at all. They were hours behind of what was actually going on. So I was sucking information in from left, right, up and down, and everything, and as I usually do. And it dawned on me that even now, that mainstream media is still behind all this stuff. And
do you think that's changed, Dan? Because if it has, I wonder if media's been beat up so much by fake news that they're waiting to vet it, and that vetting process may be actually slowing it down.
And that's a good question. Excuse me. Got cold here too. You hear that a lot, and that's the token. Mainstream media says we have backed up our news with credibility and all that stuff. And here's another thing here too. It's April 15th this year, the Berkeley riots. I'm not. Do you remember that?
Berkeley riots?
Yeah. Well,
No.
one of them. This is tax day. Okay.
Okay.
What had happened was I was actually working in my office here, and the Berkeley riots are happening. And what had happened was they were having a free speech demonstration at UC Berkeley.
Okay.
And I was able to. Mainstream media wasn't even there. Okay. But however, I pulled in about 5 or 6 live feeds from what's going on. There was I could say the conservative side, and then there was the non-conservative side. I saw what happened there was, and again, mainstream media wasn't even there, so their accuracy was a moot point. They weren't there, you know. But I seen where the police officers had a barricade. Okay, they had left on left side, right on right side, whatever it was. Okay, and they went through the folks on the conservative side. And they had shields, took the shields away. They had any bats, put the bats away. Any type of weapons that disarmed them. Okay, so essentially left the conservatives or the non-liberals, whatever, unarmed. Okay, they didn't check the other side. Okay, which at the time was okay because it looked like they're just going to yell at each other. Okay, then all of a sudden the police disappeared. This happened around 11ish or something like that. Okay, these buses show up, these unmarked buses, and all these folks in Antifa wear black shirts and black masks and stuff that starts coming out of these buses in droves. I mean, by the dozens. Okay, you didn't see that on mainstream media, did you?
I can't say that I followed it at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was watching all this stuff live. Okay, and all of a sudden it started getting violent. These folks, first thing it did is cross over the barrier. It started pounding on the other folks. Okay, and it just became a melee very quickly. And you'd think the cops would pop in there, but they weren't. They were ordered to stand off. So they're off to the side. In fact, among these feeds here, had one person walk over the cops and say, "Why aren't you guys responding to this?" And it said, "We have been ordered to stand down." Literally. Okay. And like I say, back to mainstream, why weren't they covering this? Because they weren't there. Why didn't they take this information later on and rebroadcast it? Because they didn't. I don't know why. Okay. I still to the day. Okay.
Do you have any hypothesis?
I don't. Well, my hypothesis. Well, let me go further in the story here first, then I'll come with a hypothesis here. Okay.
Okay.
You probably heard of the bike lock guy, right? The guy that had the bike lock, he started smashing people's heads, and 4chan found the guy, and he's now been indicted, and he's subjected to felony. I think 4 or 5 felony accounts of assault. That's the same day. The adjunct professor from one of these local colleges there, he took this bike lock and beat people with it. Beat one guy in the head here. He had his hands up, saying, "Let's stop fighting. Let's stop fighting." He came around and smacked the guy in the head. Okay. So all this stuff, I'm getting 5 or 6 different feeds. I'm just going, my gosh, this is crazy. and I turn on CNN. I got TV over here, CNN or whatever. They didn't even know. No, it's like it never happened. Okay, they weren't there. Okay, that's another reason why I know they weren't there, because they weren't there. So, and then it started getting crazy. They were throwing stuff back and forth. People were punching each other. And then all of a sudden there was these people throwing from the Antifa side, throwing M80s and throwing firecrackers, stuff like that, and you know, just hear bomb bomb. It sounded like a riot, like we're in the Middle East or something like that. But it's actually Berkeley, and all of a sudden the thing that changed there, somebody on the Antifa side threw a smoke bomb, but they threw it upwind. So when it went off, it came back on them, a tear gas bomb or something. So it blew back on the Antifa folks, and then they started running. And then all the non-Antifa people, the conservatives, let's say, chasing them down and then beating them up on the way. They ran them all the way into the campus. Okay. Now, my hypothesis why this wasn't covered. In that area, obviously, is a very liberal area. Okay. And it did not look there at that day. It's pretty. And by the way, I'm a libertarian. Okay. I'm kind of in the middle here, just observing. That day, it was obvious that the liberals lost. The Antifa lost. They got their asses handed to them. Despite being armed, despite being essentially outnumbering the folks that were the non-Antifa that were there. They basically got their butts handed to them, their butts kicked. So anyway, that is an example of how I was getting news where it wasn't coming from mainstream media. It was live action, 4, 5, 6 different streams. I was literally running with these folks. So,
you were there?
I was basically there. Yeah. You know, watching through other people's smartphones. So, and how I was able to access these streams is between the YouTube live stream as well as the Twitter one. Which one was it? The Periscope?
You didn't smash anybody in the head with a bike lock.
One or two. In fact, I saw the one stream. I missed it by a couple minutes. The one guy that got hit in the head, I saw him in the live stream. He was blood was coming out over the place. He was holding on to his head, and I was going, "My God, this is crazy!
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy!" And you know, the only thing we heard about that on the mainstream media, CNN finally covered it and really changed the narrative of what happened. They didn't bother talking about until later on where that bike lock guy, and there's that one girl that got punched in the face.
Okay.
That's the same incident. Okay. They made it look like the guy attacked the girl, but in reality, the girl tried to punch the guy. Now it's bad. I mean, the guy that did it, he's an asshole. I mean, he's literally a Nazi. Okay. And I wish that she would, and I wish she would kick his butt, but reality here, she started it. Okay. And on top of that, they talked about where, then these poor kids were getting the butts kicked, but they were actually the ones who came off the bus and in masks and black sweaters, wanting to kick everybody else's butt out there. So that wasn't covered at all. And was it shocking to me that wasn't covered? No. This is typical mainstream media. Okay, and it goes both ways too. And I'm just trying to say it's just all they lean to the left mainstream media. We have issues with I'm a Ron Paul supporter. When he was running in 2012, mainstream media basically stopped following him. Okay, in Ron Paul's campaign, even though he's still raising money, he's still flying around the country. He had these big old rallies. One was in UC Berkeley again. Okay, he had 6,000 people come to see him at UC Berkeley, and this is the bastion of liberalism, Ron Paul, a conservative libertarian, had 6,000 people at a rally there, and that was never covered. So
I would say the media shows us what we deserve.
yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
Based on what we watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it may not be what an individual deserves, but it's what the group deserves, because what we watch tends to feed what they show.
I think, you know what? You're correct about that.
So I don't believe that there's this outside conspiracy that's keeping information from us. It's the superficiality of the things that people find interesting and appealing. If you have any doubt about this, post something legitimate on your Facebook site and see how many likes it gets versus just complaining about a local restaurant or some kind of insignificant little hashtag first world problem kind of thing and see how many likes it gets.
Oh yeah, well, I get that all the time on my
so in a way, it's kind of disheartening around what the general population finds intriguing.
Yeah, well, you got it right. I don't watch mainstream media before that. I mean, I think it was easy 8-9 years. Now, granted, I watch every once in a while. I got these political debates, the presidential debates, stuff like that. But other than that, I don't watch Fox. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. I'd rather watch something on Netflix. So. But you're right. Each one of those stations, Fox, CNN, whatever, they're playing to that audience. So you're right. They're with you watching CNN, the same thing on April 15th. They would want to see how these people are these poor Antifa people. They are being beaten up. Oh, that's sad. But to put on Fox is say, well, these Antifa people came out of the woodworks and beat the crap out of us.
Sure.
Or
so
MSNBC, I think they're on the way in too. So
in a way, that news is skewed because of the kind of people that find that information interesting that watch that particular network. So
it comes down, they want to be entertained and not really wanting the real news.
That's one thing. They want to be entertained, but they also want information that validates their perspective.
Mm-hmm. You're right about that.
So that's why certain channels put certain things on and others put other things on, because people are more interested in being validated than they are in raw getting the news.
You got it. I think you hit the nail on the head. Now, how I try to avoid all that is there's kind of a transition from a few years ago to current. Obviously, I jump into various different sources of news. I don't care I just want information. Conservative, liberal, whatever. I'll watch Al Jazeera as quickly as watch RT, as quickly as watch Fox News, CNN, where the sources came from for the news. Okay? But the challenge here is it's biased. So I want several perspectives. So sure. I started I have a Twitter feed. In fact, I'll go and post on the show notes where I have about 300 or 400 Twitter sources of news. Okay, and I used to watch that feed religiously because if something happens, I'll find it within a minute or two, anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'll be able to follow it. Now, granted, most of the stuff I'm getting from is mainstream media news. At least I'm getting something. Mm-hmm. Okay, so usually what happens will something will trend. This is kind of before hashtags. The hashtag will go up, and you see a lot of sources just jump on that, and then all of a sudden you get several sources of news coming from the same essentially the same event. Which is a good thing if you want different perspectives.
Where I find that's especially helpful is around events like hurricanes or earthquakes, mm-hmm. or where you're wanting lots of different perspectives about what's happening over a large swath area.
Oh yeah. In fact, nowadays, rolling up closer to the current here, you got a lot of live feeds now from people, just general people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like I said, April 15th, I got I think up to 8 live feeds from just people having their cell phones out. And
Right.
they're not MSNBC, they're not CNN, they're not Fox. They're just Joe or
Yeah,
Cindy or Frank. You know,
and I followed people on Periscope
and
that
Periscope too.
they were a part of a protest, and you kind of got a chance to see the protest going on firsthand without having to be walking or being there.
yeah. And then the Vegas shootings. Okay, I was able to pull in. I think there wasn't that many. I was surprised there weren't that many live feeds, but I think about two. I think up to about 8 of them at one time. There's this one YouTube channel that was kind of monitoring everything. So I basically jumped on that one guy's site, and so I was able to see. He was looking around for live feeds. He basically what we're doing here with OBS. He'd find these feeds and just shoving it into one channel there, so you see them all.
As you know, I'm a poker player, and one of my friends invited me to go to Vegas that week. I declined, and he went ahead and went. So afterwards, I got a play-by-play description of his experience, because when the shooter was first going down, word was going around, lots of rumors, people hearing multiple shots. There was shutdown of all the casinos because there was a fear that there would be active shooters coming into all casinos. So he was hiding in a small room at one time at Caesars, and he realized people were making a lot of noise. A lot of people in there didn't speak English. He just decided, I don't want to be in this room with all these people. He didn't especially. I think it was the safest place to be. And so he walked out. And as he walked out, he felt like it was a ghost town. And he saw women's shoes on the ground where they'd just taken off their high heels to run. And there were chips everywhere. And he quickly got outside, and he decided to walk to his hotel. And when he got there, initially it was barricaded. He steps over the barricade. The door was unlocked. He went in. Security quickly confronted him, and he said, listen, I'm just trying to get to my room. So they let him go, and he went up to his room. But he just described kind of some of the chaos. He said it was rather bizarre, too, to go out on the Strip, and it was a ghost town where they just kind of removed everybody from the Strip. So in a way, it was like martial law.
Yeah, I got from a friend of mine are first responders in Las Vegas, and some are actually on the street. Well, let me put it another way here. All the people that gave me input what happened there, I can go on for a 4-hour podcast of describing it. But yeah, that basically one thing that across the board, it said the police were awesome. The first responders were just on the ball. It could obviously after the fact could have been a lot worse.
Do you recall how many minutes did it take the police to get there?
Well, I was listening actually to the scanner channel.
Okay.
And they were rolling on this within the first few shots.
Okay.
Okay. And within about a minute, they knew they was coming. I should put the link on there for this thing here. Within about 30 seconds of a minute, they knew the shots were coming from Mandalay Bay. They were actually said we got to get somebody at Mandalay Bay right now. And it went on for the scanner went out that particular cast whatever went on for about an hour or so. But the brunt of what was going on was about 15 minutes, about 10 to 15 minutes. So, and it was some crazy stuff. I mean, there were.
So you think the police were there in 15 minutes?
They were responding within seconds. They knew it was going down.
Do you know how long it took them to get to his room at Mandalay Bay?
From us too, with about 10 or 15 minutes. But I don't quote me on that. I was just listening to scanners. So if they were trying to assault that building, they would obviously would not be on the scanners on the open radio. So, but it was very, very quick. They got, and listening to Scanner, they got a lot of first responders that were guiding. In fact, if you can see the stream, I'm gonna hopefully I'll post up there somewhere. Of these 8 or 9, it got this one video where it was kind of synchronized all the streams are happening at the same time. You see within a couple minutes, a lot of the cops were guiding people out of the way, covering people up. They were just doing their job. Everybody's running away from what's going on. They were running into it. Mm-hmm. No doubt. Gun drawn. They knew it was coming. They could see several of the videos that they knew it was coming. They had the guns, the body cams, and the body cam was aiming toward Mandalay Bay. They knew it was coming from there. Mm-hmm. So, an incredible night. I mean, I got a kudos to the boys in blue out there for that was covering. And here's something else there too. A lot of people don't realize that Las Vegas is renowned for having one of the best police forces in the world. Okay, and that's for a long time. Because for obvious reasons, they got a lot of gambling. There's a lot of money there, and it is the. It's kind of hard to joke about it, but you know what? They're fortunate they got CSI over there. They'll figure this out within 24 hours, within an hour. It'd be by the end of the show. But they got an incredible force over there, and it's fortunate they had the folks there to do what they're doing, because it could have been a lot worse. That's all kinds of scenarios. A guy was loaded for bear. He had more guns than you can count on your fingers and toes. And thousands and thousands of rounds of ammunition. The butt. That's the first time I never heard of the butt stock thing.
What's your theory about why he had so many guns?
Well, yeah, he wanted to. Well, I wanted. This is speculative right now, okay? But first thing I thought, the guy's got to have some type of psychological problem, okay? And probably on psych medication, and it appears that's going to be the case. So
you think that's why he had so many guns?
He wanted to take a bunch of people out, and why not? And you don't deal with just a .22, a Ruger 1022. The guy's been stockpiling for a long time, apparently, for over a year. Okay, and then on top of that, this is from what we know so far, which is as of October 11th, 2017. Okay, he had lots of guns in his room. He had guns in his car. He had the makings of what I call the poop bomb in his car. Okay, he got the guns.
Fertilizer.
Apparently, fertilizer. Yeah, apparently he had guns at his house too. And from what I've heard so far from the FBI, from the sheriff over there, as well as some other folks online here, he wasn't intending to escape and continue his shooting spree.
Well,
for whatever reason,
that would have been the best case scenario for him.
Yeah.
Ideally, I have a theory. One of the reasons he had so many guns is because firing a rapid fire weapon will overheat, and he also didn't want to take up any extra time to reload. Mm-hmm. So for some people, just grabbing a gun, continue firing while another thing cools off or something.
One thing I was surprised that he didn't get the barrel clips, the 100-round barrel clips. He's just using the standard 30-round clips in most of his guns. So, as far as I know, okay. So, anyway, and on top of that, you see these. Back to our topic here, where we get this news from is a lot of this stuff didn't really come from mainstream media. It's leaked on the internet somewhere. I'll be first to say for the first time that a lot of my information I go through 4chan and dig through their stuff.
There's a lot of inaccurate stuff too that gets.
You gotta sit through it, because usually the rule of thumb, if you have, when it happened right away, all you can do is speculate. Okay, if you don't have enough information, it can be 1,000 reasons why something happened. Even right now, we're trying to, pass judgment. Why did he have so many guns? All this stuff. We really don't know yet.
Sure.
Okay, so you got to take that new information with a grain of salt. Okay, but the other way to weigh it too is you start having a preponderance of the same information. Okay, you tend to say that's probably going to be accurate. Oops, sorry. Okay, or you have collaborating evidence. For instance, we got a lot of video out from people's cell phones on the shooter and what's going on, so we can make some fair assumptions of that. Yeah, it was in fact in Mandalay Bay. Could it be multiple shooters based on?
And just applying some logic, there's a lot of things on the internet saying that there was another shooter on the 4th floor. Well, then you got to explain why there was no windows broken on the 4th floor. I mean, bullets cannot be traveling outside of a window if the window's still intact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just applying some of your own logic to some of these conspiracy theories will help to eliminate the conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Yeah, that was conspiracy theory, but I thought he was some type of drug, an arms dealer. Well, how many arms dealers buy guns from a gun store and register their name, and never and have no trace of ever selling their guns? So that he's either got to be the worst or dumbest gun dealer in the world, or he wasn't a gun dealer at all. So.
Well,
Jimmy. So anyway,
primary place where I get my news is I read a lot of just news from my iPhone, just under news. Now I select certain things that I listen to, and Apple may profile me in a certain way. I don't know to what degree it filters it, but I subscribe to numerous news sources there. I get a lot of my stock news from reading. I subscribe to Barron's. Occasionally I will get stuff from Twitter, but it's not my primary source of news.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read a lot of stock stuff under Stock Twits, which takes information that other people post through Twitter feeds and aggregates it into a stock feed of Stock Twits. Then I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't know if that's probably more educational and not news related.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's something that podcasts too is, as you know, we're doing podcasts now. That's becoming a bigger and bigger market, and so you got a lot of folks. If you don't now, podcast is not good for immediate, right now, 24/7 coverage news, but it's good for, let's say, opinion, education, so on and so forth. And I get. And it's more convenient, you can just, for instance, I listen to most of my podcasts at night when I'm going to sleep, going to bed, and or when I'm at the gym. And so I got my hands free. I just basically put my headset on and start jogging, lifting weights, and listening to the latest in SEO techniques. So
I listen on a 3-mile walk a couple times a week, sometimes in the gym. Sometimes while I'm driving.
Mm-hmm. So, by the way, those of you folks out there watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to my podcast channel at iTunes or at your favorite Android directory. So, podcast directory. So
maybe once or twice a week, I'll listen to Nightly News with Lester Holt.
I get little press sound bites on YouTube from across the board. Little Tucker, a little whoever else is out there. I don't listen to Lemon that much. Yeah, he's very. I try to. There's something else here that's interesting. I actually, the Young Turks. I subscribe to their channel. I really don't believe in his. And his opinions are pretty much exact opposite of mine. And I don't think him or his staff are at any very good at getting the thoroughness of their information and their stories. A lot of it is opinion, a lot of it is emotion, but I listen to them nonetheless. And the reason being is I want to understand opposing points of view.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is as important as their opinion is as important as the news itself sometimes. So I'm well-rounded. And unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people are doing that nowadays. As you mentioned, a lot of people tend to, Facebook and whatever, and Apple tends to feed you information that you tend to agree with, rather than feed you information that you probably should listen to. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think the medium in the SEO and the way things are built that probably encourages more of the same, because I think in a way divergent viewpoints tend to get hidden in your feed, whereas the things that you comment on most often tend to show up, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not
it's funny that speaking of that, I think that I get LA Times feed a lot. It's probably half of my posts on my news feed, and I really don't care for them. I do post on them. I'm pretty. Let's say. I'm basically trolling them every time I go in there. I says, why are you guys still on my feed? I thought I delete you, and I still keep on getting their feeds. So, and I post memes and stuff like that, and I catch some hell every once in a while from the general audience that watches them, listens to them. So, but you're right, because I comment on their feed a lot, I'm tending to get LA Times a lot. Because that's the only reason why I can figure out why I'm getting their feed, because I really that's I think 90% of whatever they're printing or
I think
publishing
the algorithms of Facebook assumes that people that you comment on a lot that you're closest to, and so it tends to bring them up in your feed higher than others.
Yeah.
Whereas if you don't comment on people's stuff, it embeds it, or it may not even show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing here too is speaking of other places I get my news from is obviously YouTube, and so I don't know how many people things I subscribe to. Like I said, Young Turks. Some other folks I get into is We Are Change. I subscribe to that guy's channel. His guy's got he kind of does a once or twice a day kind of recap of everything going on news, and he tends to be a kind of libertarian, so like me. So he kind of sees the whole general thing and kind of comes in with a with a blunt opinion from a libertarian standpoint of what's going on.
I'm going to hypothesize that most of the stuff you listen to could be classified as news editorials.
Yeah, that's a way of putting it. And also, something along the lines here. Here's something that's really concerning to me: is YouTube is actually, you can see they're filtering or demonetizing a lot of these channels. And it's pretty obvious they're kind of picking on the more conservative or libertarian or conservative, the non-liberal perspective. We Are Change. The guy he is really not. He's not somebody you would think that would be extremist in any perspective, but he's had numerous incidents of being demonetized. What demonetization is YouTube basically says, I'm not going to let you make any money off your video. And quite often say that they'll ban the video. They'll pull it down. And he's had several instances. The guy named Tim Pool, he's another one I listen to. Editorial kind of guy, a libertarian kind of guy. This guy here is about as non-aggressive as you can be. And he's had issues where YouTube has virtually cut off all his revenue. Okay, so he's had to go to things like Patreon or direct donations to keep them going. This guy here, basically a one-man show on news editorials. He was at Berkeley. He's one of the feeds I was watching. He went to Charlottesville. He's currently in Spain watching that going down. He pays for himself to go there. He is not funded by a conglomerate like Fox or MSNBC or CNN. He is funded by the people who watch his show through Patreon or direct donation. And it's unfortunate that YouTube is taking such a hard line against folks like that, rather than trying to support this person regardless of his political beliefs. So,
well, it's probably a hard job. They are trying to keep real radicals. But what's a radical?
Yeah,
radical or
and
terror.
I can imagine
terrorism.
it's a very difficult job for them to do. But they're do this blanket. I'm gonna,
and they probably filter out a few good ones along the way.
So,
because in your quest to filter anything, sometimes you filter out some of the news, right?
Yeah, you got it. So, anyway, yeah, you know what? Here's something else for too. We're getting getting long-winded again. We should probably wrap this up while we're at it. So, anyway, before we do that, Dale, you know any shameless plugs on your end? You want to talk about your website, what you've been doing lately, and all that stuff?
Well, I continue doing a lot of stuff in the stock market. I'm a self-educated finance guy, which is not unnormal, but I've kind of spent a lot of the last year educating myself and doing a lot of my own trading. I'm sharing some of my trades on Twitter and other social media. You can reach me on my website at jackofalltraining.com. You can link up with me on LinkedIn or on Twitter at Dale Perryman, if you'd like to link in there. And so I do corporate training and development. So if your company needs a team building, if you need to resolve some conflict, if you need some coaching on how to work effectively with your boss or other career development type issues, I'm your guy. And and I'm also dabbling around in some stand-up. I'm early in the process, but it was on my bucket list from college, so I'm trying out some comedy. And
how's that working out for you, by the way?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, you meet another, along with as you know, I'm a poker player, so I played in the world record for the longest poker session. So I meet a lot of eclectic characters late at night that you wouldn't normally run into, and I'm finding the same thing with comedy. It's an interesting group of life artists that get together occasionally to do an open mic night. So there's some funny people to have conversations with just by free associating and adding things to just normal conversation. You realize that we are authoring a comedy event right here. So it's an interesting slice of life that I wouldn't normally run into in my white collar world.
Yeah, plans for another. When's your next gig going to be?
Well, tonight is open mic. I don't think I'm going to do it tonight, but possibly next Wednesday night. I've now done four different open mics. I'm experimenting with different things. Last week I experimented with some current things, kind of set up punch. And earlier, some of my stuff was more storytell punch.
Okay, well that's cool. Good to hear about. One of these days I'm going to get in the Dallas area to actually see you. And I'd like to do it is make it so I can see one of your shows.
Well, let's start out slow. Let's just meet for the first time.
For the first time.
Yeah, you can, guys. I always thought it was kind of bizarre that Dan and I have been good friends for a lot of years, and we've never physically met.
Yeah.
But
well, maybe we go to Las Vegas. I heard Mandalay Bay's got discounts from rooms today.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we can get a good deal.
So
we get some good deals in Las Vegas. All right, Dan. Well, as always, it's a pleasure. So, and you can give your plugs.
Yeah, I'll give my little plug here. By the way, you folks out there, I'm going to leave a lot of links to my various places I get my news from. I mentioned I got a Twitter feed with about, I don't know, 300 or 400 different sources of news. I have a link through my Reddit account, actually, that has lots and lots of sources for news there, too. And some other places I'm hoping to pop in there. So, I also like to hear back from you folks out there, what do you think about what we're talking about here? Where you get your news from, and maybe we'll talk about that about that more in a future episode. So, anyway, that being said, let's go ahead and clear it out. By the way, if you guys, shameless plug to my business here, if you have some issues with internet stuff, you want to get more customers to your business, more your phone to ring more, and all this stuff, give us a call for a free consultation at 760-247-4814. Visit the site at primeconsult.net or send email to info@primeconsult.net. So, anyway, Dale, thanks a lot for being on the show. As usual, it's always a lot of fun, and we can do this for 2-3 hours, which we used to. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching and listening. Good luck and Godspeed to your online success.